Hey guys, Cameron with CBM Reviews here, and yeah, I haven't been posting very much. There's a very good reason for that. 2 words, I'm essential. Sorry that it's been somewhat delayed, but there's definitely something that I want to talk about. Here in literally 2 weeks, Justice League Dark Apocalypse War is coming out, and I want to talk about the movies that have had Darkseid in it before. And the first one that is Justice League oriented is Justice League War.
If you didn't know it existed, Justice League War was an animated project by Warner Brothers, and it was telling of the Justice League getting together, mostly retelling the New 52 stories. Now, this starred Alan Tudyk as Superman. It also starred Jason O'Mara as Batman. This also had not just a first time, but a one-time role of Michelle Monaghan starring as Wonder Woman, but Justin Kirk was Green Lantern. Christopher Gorham was the Flash. Billy Batson was played by Zach Callison, but whenever he turned into Shazam, it was Sean Astin, and Shamar Moore played Cyborg. And let's not forget that Stephen J. Blum played Darkseid.
So I'm going to talk about Justice League War. I'm not going to give it a review, but this is going to be spoiler heavy. I'm going to talk about the plot, I'm going to talk about the characters, and my overall thought of the movie. And yeah, so let's get this train going. Real quick, let's get some business out of the way. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. It means a whole lot to me. Do me a huge favor and click that thumbs up button. It elevates the visibility of my channel. And if you're a fan of this sort of thing, go ahead and click the subscribe button if you haven't already. Lastly, but certainly not least, if you want to know as soon as I put anything up on the channel, click the notification bell. It's right down there. You'll be notified as soon as I upload anything. So, Justice League War came out in 2014, literally 6 years ago, which it doesn't feel like it was that long, but it was following the New 52 Justice League trade, which was, I don't remember who wrote it, but it was Jim Lee that did the artwork. And this is where the Justice League comes together and they have to fight a looming threat from Apocalypse named Darkseid. At the time when I first watched it, I remember not liking it. Something just felt off to me. And I haven't revisited it since then until about a week ago. I said, you know what? This new movie's coming out. Let me refresh myself on Justice League War. And I have a new perspective on it. And I don't know if it's because time has changed or my channel has occurred, or perhaps I've seen the live action Justice League movie, but there was something about Justice League War that I liked a lot more the second time around. It's very similar to the very beginning plot of the live action movie. There are these parademons invading Earth at various locations, and the heroes are by themselves dealing with the issues. They haven't really come together yet. And eventually they do all come together whenever the question of the mother boxes comes about and where these parademons are coming from. And then being from Apocalypse shows up, and this is where the live action and the animated kind of differ. In the live action it was Steppenwolf, and in this version it's Darkseid. And so the heroes have to come together and fight this nearly insurmountable foe, and do their best to, either win or at the very least survive. So let's get started on the setup. And the setup does a couple of things which I'm okay with, but some people might not be. And what that does, it assumes that we know who most of these characters are. We are immediately introduced to Green Lantern and Batman, and we are supposed to know who they are. We're introduced to the Flash later on. We're immediately supposed to know who he is. Superman, in the same instance, we're supposed to know who he is. Now, Wonder Woman gets a little bit of context. And Shazam, or Billy Batson, there's a whole little small underlying story that goes on there, but once again, this isn't an origin story for him. This does give a very clear-cut origin story for Cyborg. And I love how this origin story happened, whereas it was kind of done in flashbacks in the Justice League live action movie. In Justice League War, we get to see it from from everything that starts to how it ends up. It's very similar to the Young Justice, with the exception that it's not a father box, but it is some technology in Star Labs. But I really enjoy the fact that we do get to understand Cyborg. We get to see his journey in a way that we don't really get to see other people's journey. I do think that everybody should know Batman, everybody should know Superman. Green Lantern and Flash are, staples, Wonder Woman as well. But Shazam, I thought, was handled poorly. So, and I think that's not just with the execution of who he is, but also the writing of the character. I didn't like any of the writing that was for Shazam, so he was kind of a throwaway for me. And that was in almost every aspect. Like, Billy Batson is 80% okay, but Shazam is like 100% bad in this. That's just my opinion. I loved the live action so much more. Things really pick up in this movie when Darkseid comes to Earth and there's this fight, and there are some inconsistencies with it, because when he first shows up, like, nobody can, scratch this guy. He's just ridiculously powerful. And then as the fights go along, then they start landing blows. Things start affecting him, things that weren't affecting him before. So little inconsistency, but not a huge deal. And in this one, instead of actually defeating Darkseid, they just banish him back to where he came from, which I like that they couldn't beat him at this point, so they had to at least, get him away from Earth. It gives us something to look forward to down the line, which is what's coming in a couple weeks. And the fight scenes, I took for granted 6 years ago. They are huge. They're brutal. They're at times they're graphic. I think the three things that, if you're going to watch this, that you're going to take away from the movie was how impressive and ominous Darkseid is. Number two, how important Superman is to the DC universe as a whole, and how Batman is the smartest guy in the room. And there are other things to take away, like Wonder Woman's, on one end, she has this innocence about the real world, and on the other end, she has this contempt for people who don't know what they're talking about. And then there's also the Flash, who really gets no character development, but I would rather have gotten no character development than what Shazam got. Like, that was just, I'm hating on Shazam, but this is the worst part about the entire movie, so allow me to hate. And I liked Hal Jordan's cockiness. I hate that we haven't seen a good live action Green Lantern yet. This is the truth. Don't be mad at me talking the truth, because that's quite honestly the nuts and bolts of it. I want to see this version of Hal Jordan, of Green Lantern, on the big screen, because I really enjoyed the writing of it. He is one of the first heroes that shows up on screen along with Batman, and so he gets a lot of development. There are some trips and falls. He does not succeed at everything. He has to learn that even though he's sanctioned for this corner of the galaxy, that he may not be the best person for the job, and sometimes he has to work as part of a whole in order to get the job done. And it does kind of end on a nice little cleaned up, squeaky clean note, and so, there wasn't really any kind of casualties as far as main characters. But with the Apocalypse War coming out, I think that might be different. I don't want to talk too much about this, like the voice actors and the animation style, that sort of thing. Like I said, I'm not grading the movie. I did want to talk about it before Justice League Dark Apocalypse War came out. And I will also watch Justice League Dark as well. Maybe another one, talk about it too before this movie drops, just to kind of give not necessarily a play-by-play, but a rundown of how we got to this point. So that's my little talk about Justice League War from 2014. Tell me what you guys thought about it in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, and if you're new here, subscribe to the channel, share this with all your friends, and as always, this is Cameron with CBM Reviews. We'll see you next time.